What's going on, Jack Pack? And of course, what's going on to all the haters in the Jack Pack? We don't exclude everyone. Super excited to be on here on the 3 Count podcast.
I'm in fashion, roll with cold passion.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, which by now you all should be calling me because just like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. It's never about me, it's about who's entering. So who's entering the ring today? You can find this man at Invictus. You can find this man at the Wrestling Open. You can find this man at FWF, CAP Beyond, AEW, WWE, Russell Pro, VPW, NFW. He is one half of the Vlog Bros University. He is found on YouTube, IG, Twitter, and TikTok. He is the king of social media, the leader of the Jack Pack. He is the wrestler, Jack Tomlinson.
Damn. You got me blushing right now. That was incredible. That was a better introduction than I give myself. I've never called myself the king of social media either. So so if I start using that now, it's okay because I didn't just self-proclaim myself. Like, you gave it to me.
Yeah. Right.
Cool. That was very cool.
Listen, we've done like almost 200 something episodes. You know, I feel like,
Really?
me deeming it, you the king of social media. Like I've been following like your work, man. So I've been like just kind of watching you, but like every social media platform that I ever see you on, it's like as soon as you drop, the next day is like 100,000 followers, like out of nowhere.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I do my best. It's sometimes very, very strange to dedicate so much of my life towards something that's in a sense not real, which is social media, because it's on your phone, and it can also be very fake, because not only like the stereotypical like you're not who you are on social media in real life, but it's like it's not real. You're looking at a screen, you're not looking at people. So it's very different, and it's weird that I dedicate so much of my life to it. But I like to think, even when I'm playing more of a bad guy, more of a heel, I like to imagine that I always use my content in somewhat of a positive aspect. If I'm leaning more towards the good guy, babyface realm, I can be super obvious about how positive I am with it. And I can just be straightforward and say, hey, I hope you're all having a great day. If I'm leaning a little bit more towards the bad side, depending on where I am and what's asked of me, I can kind of gear more towards positivity with just being entertaining. And I like to be entertaining at my own expense of just being a goofball. And I have fun with it. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but I try my best.
Well, it's one of those things because, like, seeing you at like at Invictus, right, and watching you at the Wrestling Open, but more importantly at Invictus, when you and TKO like had your guys' match, and you legitimately looked at the crowd and said, "I'm the Tom Holland of professional wrestling." I started laughing my ass off because I was like, "That is like the greatest thing to come up with on the fly," and like, and the crowd just joined in with you, and I was just like, that is so smart thinking. I was like, that's really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's funny. The Tom Holland of professional wrestling is something I honestly fought in the beginning, because when it first happened, like I first got called, I was told I looked like Tom Holland back in like 2016, and this was, or 2017, my bad. It was around the time Homecoming came out, and it wasn't even like on one of my videos. It was on a video of the Shook Crew, and they did like a reading comments, and Max Caster read, Jack Tomlinson looks like Tom Holland. And I'd never really thought about it. Nothing happened. And then I started making TikToks, and I started getting that comment all the time. And a lot of people in the industry who have been doing this for a while started to say, you don't want to be known as Tom Holland. You want to be your own person. You want to stand out, you know? And for a while, I tried to ignore it because of that, because people who have been doing this longer than me and are arguably at the time better than me, I wanted to listen to their advice, until ultimately one day I was like, man, why am I ignoring this? Like the whole objective of wrestling, in my opinion, is to entertain people. And there's a reason they keep pointing out I look like Tom Holland. They want me to either acknowledge it or say I do or say I don't, whatever. They want me to acknowledge it in some way. So I just started rolling with it. I started going with it. And it gets a good response every time, which I'm very thankful for. I've yet to hear from Tom Holland. I often think about this all the time. How many times does like something random just pop up on your phone, whether it's on your TikTok For You page, and you never think about it, like you never see it again? So I often wonder, like, has at some point in his life Tom Holland just been on TikTok and maybe he was like Googling himself, and this random kid from Long Island comes and he's like, who the hell is this kid saying he's me? He's not me. So I
Yeah.
often wonder that. It's definitely never happened, but it's a cool
Be like,
thought.
he's definitely not from Queens.
I mean, he's not from Queens for sure. I'm from Long
Right. No. But I bet, like, just looking through and be like, he says it's Tom Holland. Well, he's not from Queens. It just kind of flipped through. But like, I'd
Island.
be like, it's a great reference. All right, man. So let me jump into this. And the first question I'm going to ask is, who is Jack Tomlinson?
Oh gosh, that's a tough question. That's a question I don't even know the answer to. You want so who is Jack Tomlinson? I have a good answer for this. I'm an individual who likes telling stories. I think that's the best way to sum me up as just a overall person. I just like telling stories. I like getting from point A to point B and doing something creative that involves a purpose bigger than myself, which is why I love wrestling. It's always a story. It's why I love social media. It's always a story, which is why my vlogs are never they're always like something larger than who I am. They're like a sprinkle of who Jack is as the person, but it's drenched in Jack as a wrestler, actor, content creator because I like telling stories. So I think that's the best way to describe me. Beyond that, I'm an independent professional wrestler, makes videos, likes to act a bit. He's at least is trying. Yeah, that's why.
It's it is weird, and I mention this a lot, and I talk about it with a bunch of like, because I've only been in the business now for just like 2.5 years, but
Mm.
I'm so much older than everybody because like I just turned 37 last week. For
Happy
those who are
birthday.
wondering, bro, I appreciate it. For those who are wondering when we were recording this, you have to find out my birthday first. But I tell people all the time, like you're creating this world for this character that you make in this
Mm,
business that's obviously larger than you, but you have to come up with all the answers to like that character.
mm,
And like when people look at you, and it's the creative side, the positive side, the fun side that you get to do is you create like this world, and like people ask you questions like, why did they do this or why did they do that? And you're just like building answers in this
mm,
like giant world. And I don't know, it's so much fun to play around and create. And I just tell people when people ask me, I'm just like, yeah, I just create this world that I live in, and like somehow my character like shines through it. I have no idea
mm.
why this works.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I think the idea of like having all the answers comes just like trying your own stuff. And I'm thinking about last night. I filmed a promo with Dante, who's in Vlogbro University with me. For those who are listening and don't know, he's my tag partner. I love Dante, and we had this idea going into it, and we were both very passionate about it, and we felt very confident in what we were doing. And then certain things just came out as we were filming it, and we went with it. So like that's kind of where I find I get my best answers from. It's when I have an idea and when, like, if you know me, when I have an idea, I am so set on it and I'm so dedicated and I will do anything I can to make this idea happen. You could have a room of 100 people telling me, Jack, this idea sucks. I will literally sit there with each person and go, no, let me tell you why this idea is great. And I'll make it. I'll make it work. Does it always work? No, but I'm very grateful to say that more times than none, they do work. And we start out with an idea, and then just as we get into it and we stop overthinking, or we're kind of more present in the moment, that's where I find my best answers.
Yeah, one of the things I love doing, and it's funny because you talk about like cutting promos and just like way things like morph and change. Like I will legitimately be driving down the road and I'll be like, something will hit me and I'll be like, yo, that's a great promo. I should do that. Like recently I did a promo where so my character, so as you kind of referred to yourself as Tom Holland in the Spider-Man verse, like my character kind of plays off of like Deadpool. So I was like, how great of a promo would it be to pretend that I hacked in the back of somebody's security camera on their car and then shoot the promo from there. And I did, and it got over really well because a lot of people were like, "Holy shit! Like I never thought about doing this." And I was like, "Yeah,
That's
like
sick.
no, like I love like thinking of like new places to like cut promos." One time I pretend I ripped off somebody's security camera from like the top of
Yeah.
their door and just
Oh, you
cut
got
the
to
cut
send
a
me these.
promo.
These are sick.
Yeah, yeah, I'll definitely send them over to you. One of them I did as a Disney cartoon or a Disney like TV show, like That's
Okay.
So Raven and shit.
Yeah, that
Oh,
sounds amazing. No,
oh yeah, I had so much fun doing random
it's
ass stuff.
those are awesome. Those are super like creative ideas. I love that. Sorry, I'm just lowering this light a bit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this before we logged on. I wanted to ask you something because just dude, your bio alone on Instagram intrigues the heck out of me. Now, like we met in person, and like I liked I liked our conversation. I liked our banter, which is why I'm glad I'm here. Thank you for inviting me, by the way. Didn't say that
Oh
when
yeah,
we started. But dude, you were in the Air Force. I'm correct.
yeah.
Like you were in the Air Force, and now you're a pro wrestler. I mean, first off, thank you for doing that for our country. And I gotta ask, how did that transition like happen?
Yo,
I don't want
okay,
to flip
so
this now on you, but I'm gonna flip it on you.
no, I get it. No, no, no. So like, yeah, I did 6 years active duty Air Force, and I was actually stationed in Hawaii. And how the transition happened was, like I said, like I just turned 37, right? So for people wondering what's going on right now, my camera actually just shut off. So I will continue to tell the story, but as I um as I like moved around from place to place, like I just was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I could never figure it out. But when I graduated college, after leaving the military, I graduated college and got my master's degree. I was like, yo, let me. I've done everything everybody else wants me to do, and the only thing that really stays constant next to my family, right? Like I have a
Mhm.
wife and a kid.
Congratulations.
Other than that, my childhood dream was always to be a wrestler. I was like, so let me find a way to get in, and like I performed in the dark arts for about 10 months, and then I had some friends who were like, "Dude, we know people who are pro. We'll just send you to them." And that's what happened. I just kind of fell in this world, and like now
Great.
here I am.
Very cool. That's awesome, man. That was awesome. I had to know. I have to ask about that. I find that
Yeah,
that's so interesting. I have a lot of relatives and close friends who are in the military in some aspects. So whenever I see that, I'm super intrigued. Um,
yeah, it's weird because like my whole family has all been in the military, right? From my uncle to my father, my grandfather, and then my great grandfather, who my dad was actually. It's funny you're asking this question because like a few days ago, my dad was telling me about this. He was like, he's like, "It's so funny seeing you try to accomplish your dream as a pro wrestler." He's like, "'Cause your great grandfather used to wrestle in Kansas City, and he was known as the Great Buddha." And I didn't know that until recently, and I thought that was so funny. I was like, "Oh wow!" It's like talk
that's
about a generation.
yeah, that's wild. How things just work out and like fall into place at times. That's so cool. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
it's unique, man. But so my story now of like getting into how did you get into the business?
How did I get okay? So I mean, it's a pretty generic story, although the little like of a young kid who loves professional wrestling, although the twist with me is my brother was a fan of wrestling. He used to always watch it, and I never liked it. I never like hated on it. I was never like that kid. But I'd walk into the den when he's watching, and I'd literally just make a quick 180 and leave because I had no interest in it. And then
Right.
literally one day I saw Hugh Jackman on Monday Night Raw, and I was like, "Whoa, that's Wolverine!" And then he came out with this purple and orange spiked haired bandana, indoor wearing sunglasses woo 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 guy. And I was just like, all right, this guy's cool. I gotta watch this. And then next thing I know, Hugh Jackman punches Dolph Ziggler in the face in the most legit punch I've ever seen anyone throw, even like on World Star. And it was crazy. And I was like, all right, this is pretty sweet. And literally from that moment on, from that was I was probably 10 when that happened. From then until 17 years old, I didn't miss a single Raw or a single SmackDown for 7 years straight. Never missed it. Watched it all live too. It wasn't like I recorded it. I watched them all live. And then eventually, when I started training when I was 15, and to get more specifically how I became a wrestler, I forgot where I was going with that story for a second. To get more specific, I became a very big fan of Zack Ryder, and I went to his autograph signings. You know, I'm his number one fan. He knows that. It's a big to do in wrestling. No big deal. You know, I hit him with the radio silence once. Sorry, Matt. Not really. Um, my dad was like Googling, I guess Googling like if he was doing appearances or something for me, and he came across Kurt Hawkins, who was his tag partner, and then found out Kurt Hawkins had a school on Long Island, and then turns out it was 15 minutes from my house, and we just went one day and started training.
Nice. Yeah, because it's Trade a Pro, right?
Yes, creative bro.
Yeah, I and it's funny because I'm a transplant into Maryland, right? Like not even in like in the Jersey area. So
Mhm.
I was a transplant to Maryland, and as I'm starting to learn more about like the indie scene and like schools and stuff like that, uh, I found Creative Pro, and then
Mhm.
like as I like travel up to like Invictus and stuff and start talking to people, I find like all these people who are either part of the academy, the 3D Academy, or a part of Creative Pro, and I ran into Phil Cardigan at
Feels the best.
yeah, no, absolutely. I was like captivated. And it's funny because like the more people I meet from either like specifically Creative Pro, it's you guys have like this character work like always down. Like you just know how to put like great characters together. Because like Phil's character is like by far like probably top 10 favorite characters.
He is second to none. He knows who he is. He knows what he wants to do. He does something that is different and unique that no one else is doing. It's spectacular. And
Yeah.
I will die on this hill. There is no school greater than Creative Pro. I mean, this school is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the people who have come in and wrestled on that show consistently that had a name prior to Creative Pro and then made a bigger name at Creative Pro includes Brian Myers himself, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, VSK, Eric James, but then names that were literally homegrown at Creative Pro, born and raised. I mean, it's MJF, Chris Statlander, Bear Bronson, Max Caster, Smart Mark Sterling, Anthony Bowens. I mean, top to bottom, there's no school that does that. There are schools that have turned out fantastic, phenomenal, once in a generation talent. And there's a lot of great schools, and I've met them, and I'd hope to expand to them in the future. But dang, the resume that Creative Pro builds, I'm humbled and honored that I get to be a part of that.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. I was like just looking through, and I just think about all those people. I was like, damn, dude, that is like a lot. Like there are schools like you said that put out those once in a lifetime great generations. But yeah, Creative Pro definitely is like continually pushing like how far and how many wrestlers come out and just nail it like at the top all the time. So I was definitely it's definitely crazy. So you had this question. You wanted to ask a question to me about this. I need to ask this question to you.
Mhm.
Every wrestler has this, right? And I'm sure you probably have one, but what's the worst bump you've taken?
The worst bump I've taken? I haven't really see. That's interesting. Most people like I've never had like a crazy death defying bump that it just sucked, but I've had ones that like are no fun because I got injured. Like I tore my labrum in my shoulder once. I came off the second rope and things went wrong. So I guess that one wasn't the most fun, but I've been knock on wood. I've been very fortunate.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna front because I remember. So you talk about watching Raw live every single week. I
Mhm.
remember watching Raw with the Viking Raiders when Ivar just chucked you straight up, and I was like,
Oh gosh,
yeah,
yeah. Dude,
I
honestly,
was like, that man went
that was so
flying.
cool. That was so cool. I remember literally going up and saying, "This is awesome," and then death. Like it was like, "This is awesome," and I didn't even get to finish the word "awesome," but it was very cool. So I didn't have time to think about it. But with the
Mhm.
one I just described, as I'm going down, I'm saying to myself, "Yeah, this is gonna be bad," and it ended up being worse than I thought it was gonna be. But it was pretty sweet.
Yo. So what's that post match meal, post match snack that you gotta have when you get done with the show?
I honestly, I don't really have one. I feel like I just need to drink water after I wrestle. That's like the one thing I need. Maybe a piece of like fruit. I'm not really that wild with like what I eat. I'm pretty bland. So that one's not an exciting answer from me. But yeah, usually that. I mean, I guess if I'm going like it depends. If I wrestle on Friday and I know I'm wrestling again Saturday or Sunday, it literally will just be water and fruit. But if I wrestle on Sunday and I know I'm not going to wrestle for like 2 more weeks, I'm like, all right, let's find some ice cream. Let's enjoy this life. Let's go. I guess that maybe ice cream.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I know for me, like when I get done with like matches or even before matches, and if you were around me, you would have seen this happen. But I carry like a bag of gummy bears like every show I go to because like I get so nervous that
Mm.
I have to control my anxiety, and so gummy bears like take that away from me as I'm like chewing on them, so it gets my mind out of a different world, and yeah, so then they become like a big superstition for me. So I have to have
That's
gummy bears like everywhere I go.
interesting. I respect that. That's cool.
So let's talk about this because this is a question I love asking and it kind of gets deeper into like just how you get in there and how like people can also benefit. What's one of the hardest lessons that you've had to learn being in the business?
Hardest lesson I've had to learn. Um, hmm. I got a couple that are coming to mind right now. The first one that's coming to mind is in the beginning, it was don't be afraid to pay your dues. It's going to suck not coming out and being right on top. So I think that's definitely one thing in the beginning. As you get more into it, and like keep in mind, there's some companies I go to and I'm debuting. Like Invictus, that was my first match with them, so I'm new. I'm the new guy in that locker room. But then there's other companies that have been there for at this point 4 or 5 years, and I'm a little more comfortable there. I honestly, it's everyone wants to see you be successful. They just don't want to see you be more successful than them. So that's another one that I kind of think about from time to time. And above all, I just think it's don't be afraid to believe in yourself. Like I said, I'll dial this back. Before I said like there will be 100 people in a room that will tell me don't do this idea. It's not good. And I don't care. I believe in this idea. It is good. And on more than one occasion, I have believed in an idea and it has panned out. Have there been times where it didn't pan out? Absolutely. And that's just life. But I think that's it. You have to believe and bet on yourself.
I like that. And last thing too is just definitely great advice just for people who are trying to get into the business, right? Is just believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, there's going to be people who want to like tweak ideas to help you like get to that spot that you want to get to. But at the end of the day, man, like it all comes down to you, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to do it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yo, so let me hit you with this last question, and then we're going to get into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast. You've been in a lot of different locker rooms. You've been around for a few years. So I'm just curious, what's one do and one don't of the locker room?
One do and one don't of the locker room. Introduce yourself to everybody. Don't not introduce yourself to everybody.
Those are great lessons.
It's pretty simple. I like that part. Like when I first had that said to me, I was like, oh, that needs to be told. Like I like introducing everyone. Now it sucks because I'm terrible with names. So and especially it's really confusing if someone gives you like a work name versus a shoot name, like then, or if someone gives you their gimmick as opposed to their name. Really confusing. Wrestling is a very tough industry to know people's names, but I like knowing everybody's face. I feel very comfortable knowing that I've shook everybody's hand and I've at least made eye contact. So I like that for me.
I do. I like going around and talking to people and then like introducing myself to them. I know like when I met behind the scenes for everybody, when I met Max the Impaler for the first time without makeup, I was like, oh, it just clicked like who it was. Now I was like, oh, bet. How are you? So it definitely caught me off guard when I met Max the first time. And I was like, wait, why do you look familiar? And then everything clicked. And I was like, dang, that's awesome.
I've had that.
But let's get into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast. You're probably trying to figure out what the first is. It's right here. It's actually the Red Dogs Power Rankings that you can find on our show some Sundays, because there's a lot of wrestling, and when you're getting booked every weekend, it's pretty hard to put a top 10 together. So, it's there. But this is a 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. And Mr. Jack, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. And whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
Okay.
So we're going to put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And in the words of Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
Raw.
Favorite movie?
The Departed.
Sonic or Mario?
Mario.
Favorite actor?
Matt Damon. Optimus
Prime or Leonardo?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo the Ninja Turtle.
Oh, Optimus Prime.
Favorite cartoon?
I don't watch cartoons. I don't know. I don't know how to watch cartoons.
That's an answer. Don't worry. PlayStation or Xbox?
I don't play video games.
Nice. Xbox. Favorite podcast?
Impulsive.
I love that one, actually.
Yeah.
Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Dante Drago.
Let's go. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show. Favorite curse word?
Hater.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I don't like haters, but I do like Jamie Hater. I think she's great.
She is amazing.
Yeah,
but yes, I agree. Haters can all just kind of go off on their own. So those are all my questions that I do have for you. But the last thing I have to ask is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Oh, damn. We're to the end. Oh, I was having fun. Where can you find me? You can find me on YouTube at Jack Tomlinson Vlogs. You can find me on Instagram or TikTok. Both are at Jack Tomlinson 2000. You can find me on Twitter at Jack Tomlinson00. That would have been 2000 as well, but it was too many characters for Twitter, so that's things. Or you can also head on over to prowrestlingtees.com/JTVlogs to get the merch.
Well, listen, he gave you all of his handles. He told you where you can find him. And most importantly, he gave you his merch link. So you guys need to go check that out. But you know what that means? Like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take this home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering. And I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring? You see him, the leader of the Jack Pack, the wrestler, Jack Tomlinson. He's right there. So you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately subscribing to this YouTube channel. You're going onto our Spotify. You're following us there. You're giving us those 5-star Frog Splash reviews. You're following us on all social media platforms. Look, all the handles are right there below. Okay, 3 Count Pod or 3Count_pod. Just go put it in. And then you're picking up our merch right there. Okay, prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Podcast. You're doing all that stuff. You're telling your friends to listen to us as well. You're sharing this out. Or you're really just waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for the outro. And then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want you to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3Count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give us a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.